Howdy, hi, and hello. Welcome to CNC Talks. As usual, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Noah.
And I am Cody, and I believe that's the first time you said that correctly on the first try.
I think so, too. Before we roll into this episode, let's do a little bit of
a what? Spit it out, boy.
I'm trying to think what the fucking word is. Small talk. That's it.
Okay.
How was your day at work?
Great. The whole building's like empty right now.
What do you mean?
They sold the Saber and got a Cobra,
Yep.
and now we're taking the whole dryer.
And
We're going to pick it up and turn it over here. So Cole and them will be catching by where we stage the garments, and the ink station is all torn to pieces and completely moved around. Heat presses are on the other side of the building now, like on the other side of like under Braden's window.
Yeah.
It fucking, it's just a lot. We have like a total of like 2 orders for the whole entire week.
Oh,
We've just been doing a lot of like stuff around the shop.
I gotcha.
So. But it's like, it's just a lot of cleaning and preparation for the big move.
Okay. How's your music going along?
Music is actually going awesome. We started this like not too long ago. We have 10 songs written.
Fuck.
No lyrics to them yet. We got a drummer from Tennessee who also has a house in Pittsburgh. So he'll be traveling up and around and stuff. So he's been writing parts to it and stuff. He does a lot of stuff on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. Fills in for a lot of different bands. Okay. So it's pretty cool. Cool. I'm excited. I'm very excited. What have you got going on?
My skin is still being dyed from my job from paint and metal powder.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, fairly fucking boring. Hate doing the same thing every day, but it's still something. Other than that, really, I keep passing out after I get home.
Yeah.
So I get home around 1:30. I try and work on editing or just try and work on something, but then I just inevitably pass out until 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Stuff with Neocracy is also going great.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm just learning stuff. So I haven't really, like, I started writing a song and stuff, but like, it's just basically learning what the set list already is. And it's a lot. But then I got YouTube, which I can't talk about because I'm doing it anonymously. So I can't tell anybody what it is, unfortunately.
Hell yeah.
Maybe someday I'll do not anonymous, but we'll see. Other than that,
right.
Everybody's still a dickhead, and here we go.
All right, no more small talk.
Yeah.
Fuck that. This episode, we're going to be doing Reddit stories, Reddit horror stories, Reddit whatever. Well, I can't say that fully.
r/
I have 5 stories, but there are 3 that I want to read to you, and then we can discuss about them after I'm done with each of them.
Sounds good to me.
So this one is D&D Horror Stories. This is by the Catterfish. It's called Player Complaints. A lot. I am a dungeon master, and I have been one for almost a year now. I have recently had a session where there was a cool boss fight against a team of rivals. Quote-unquote evil opposites, if you will. The cleric of my party was trying to cast an 8th level inflict wounds on my enemy fighter. The enemy bard used counterspell on at 8th level. The cleric player began to complain to me that he shouldn't know what the level of the spell was and that he demanded an explanation. I came up with the justification that the bard knew the cleric was going to cast a strong spell to take out the fighter, so the bard would counterspell with his highest level spell slot except for 9th. After my explanation, the cleric player disregarded it and claimed that I was metagaming. He then told me that from now on, he wouldn't tell me what the spell was casting in order to keep me from quote-unquote cheating. At this point, the other players got involved and told the cleric player to calm down. The issue subsided after that, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it if the same player starts something like that in the future. So.
Kick him the fuck out. Fuck that guy. Dude, that is so stupid.
Yeah. I'm kind of on both sides because quote-unquote rules, it says when someone casts a spell, no one knows what you're casting other than you.
Well, okay.
But,
so I misunderstood that a little bit.
But how everyone actually plays is like, okay, he's going to cast a level 7 Disintegrate. Does anyone want to counterspell it? If the DM does it and says, like, this is the spell that he's casting, if you want to counterspell it, fucking do it. It's free game. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
But if he keeps it a secret and then complains about it about the player trying to keep it a secret, then there's a problem.
Yeah, so I think in that circumstance... So wait, the DM was the one freely giving out the information. Is that what it...
The player was casting a level 8 Inflict Wounds.
Okay.
And
he says this.
Yes, the player says this. The DM said, my bard is going to counterspell it at 8th level. The player complained that he wouldn't have known, and the DM's metagaming.
Okay, so I think in that instance, actually, I had it backwards in my head. So in that instance, I would say the DM should be like, hey, don't tell me what level you're casting it at. And then if I choose to attempt to counterspell it, like my thing is like, if you want to be safe, counterspell at a high level. If not, roll the dice, dude.
Yeah.
It's the same. Like it's the DM's world, but at the same time, in my opinion, it makes it, I don't know, it makes it a little more fair because like, if the player's like, oh, like if you're just going to knowingly counterspell everything I do, then why am I even doing it? Like, You know what I mean? So I guess in that circumstance,
that's why I'm dead center. It's like,
I think in a lot of other situations, I'd be like, dude, go fuck yourself. But in that case, I'd be like, or even if so, if I was the DM, I would have been like, okay, well, you're right. I'm going to let it slide this time. Like, I'm going to say that, he didn't counterspell at an 8th level. Like, whatever. He wasted a counterspell. Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, whenever you basically disincentivize your players from trusting you not to metagame, it's hard for them not to metagame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you were constantly just, like, out to... So, I think of it as... What did we call him before? Michael. If Michael would have done it, you know who I'm talking about. The guy that just joins just to fuck up your game.
Yes.
So, if you're doing that to your players, they're going to try to do it to you. Obviously, that was a different circumstance because he's just an asshole all the time. But it's just one of those things where, let's say if Michael cast a spell and didn't tell you the level, and then you asked for the level and then counterspelled it at that level, I'd be like, oh, all right, Noah, dude, come on. But the fact that he freely gave out that information, like I said, as a DM, I'd be like, okay, you're right. I didn't think about it. Like, just out of like forced habit, I was like, shit, I got to stop this spell. So I'm going to let it resolve and like, it's going to be fine. But in the future, just do not tell me what level it is. Mm-hmm. Unless it's something that like I would be like, okay, move to hit what level are you casting it at? Don't be like, okay, well, what level? Then be like, okay, I'm trying to counterspell. Like, you have to state that you are not. Basically, just be like, hey, I'm not going to counterspell this. What level is it at?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got, because also most people it's not a problem with, but some people are just cheaters. So they'll just be like, yeah, I'm casting this. And then whenever you let it resolve, they'll be like, yeah, I actually casted it at like this and I get this many D6 or whatever, and if you're like, if you don't have the spell like pulled up where you can double check them, they could like fudge the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know.
I think most DMs nowadays ask what level it is in front, because in case they say, I'm just going to cast this spell, and they're like, all right, I'm going to counterspell it. Be like, where they thought, I'll just put it at 4th level. Why not? It's still a big spell.
Yeah.
Nice. DM counterspells it, but he didn't say what level. He's like, oh, I actually counted at 7th level.
You know what you would do? You know how you do that? Write down the level on a piece of paper, flip it upside down, put it on the center of the table, and don't touch it.
Okay.
And then after you counterspell it, flip both pieces of paper. If you have a problem person, modern problems require modern solutions.
There you go.
Dave Chappelle said it best. But no, that's one of those things. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. I've always thought of stuff like that. Most of the people, I'm just like, I pretty much trust you guys not to like do stuff like if we're doing one shots or whatever. But if I was playing with Michael, I would have been like, yeah, write down what level you're casting that at, flip it upside down and put it towards the center. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to counterspell at 5th level. And then if he's like, if he reaches for that paper,
he reaches for it,
turn it over,
and he turns it over, it looks like a 1, but like, yeah, that's actually a 7.
I'd be like, we'll get better at writing. Like, you're an idiot. Like, very few people put a hook on their fucking 1. But, like,
so all in all, who would you side with in this scenario?
I would have sided with the player, honestly, in that one. Like, I would have just, obviously, I mean, the fact that the only thing I don't like is that it sounded like the player was being like a fuck about it. Kind of.
What do you mean?
Like very
okay,
irritable about it. Like,
I get you.
Yeah. So like it sounded like, instead of being like, hey, I mean, you're the DM, but dude, I really don't think it's right that you counterspell after knowing what my spell level is. Mm-hmm. You know, blah, blah, blah. Like, he could have calmly talked to him about it instead of flipping out. Because the problem is, I feel like, I mean, I love D&D, but I feel like also in D&D, there is some sweaty motherfuckers that just take things way too far. And it's like, dude, like, just calm down. Either talk to me about it, or if you have a problem, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Like, if you can't talk to me about it, I don't give a fuck what your problem is. Because my thing is I'm all good for criticism and stuff, but not when you treat me like a child. Or treat me like I'm a fucking fraud because I did something without thinking. The other end of this is, if this is a continuous thing that the DM does, and he was finally like, fuck this, I can see that. Mm-hmm. So, like, I would need a little bit more context to the story, but given the information that we have, I'm on the player's side.
Okay.
So, what about you?
Just
given the information that we have.
Just given the information, I might actually lean towards DM, because it feels like that they must be at high level for casting 8th and 9th level spells.
Yeah.
So it had to have been a thing where they said about their spell level, and now it comes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
like I said, I guess looking at it that way, I guess I'm not really on either of their sides, because it should have been, I don't know, I guess that still puts me on the player's side, kind of. They should have came up with a contingency for this beforehand.
Yeah.
That way it didn't become a problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
Talk to each other.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Especially outside of the game. I'm not saying like metagame talk, but like discuss and be like, hey, I think we should do things this way. Like blah, 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 blah. If you have an issue, like bring it forward. Because if the person listens to you and like understands, they might have a counter argument, or they might respectfully decline what you're saying. But if they just like treat you like it's not, you don't want to be in that fucking group anyway. You know, if we have issues or whatever, we can talk to Noah about it, and then like typically he'll be like, okay, well, what do we want to do instead?
How do you
like,
want to fix this?
Yeah, like how do we want to fix this? And we've done it a few times already. Most of the time, if somebody complains about something, it's just because they haven't talked to anyone yet, like the DM or whatever, But.
Okay. Next one. This is still in horror stories. This is by Ported Cannon 565, titled "Annoying Player Eats Librarian."
Okay.
Yeah. This might not be as bad as some of the stories here, but it is still annoying. To set the scene, I have 4 good friends who are playing in this campaign. In the interest of privacy, I'm using their character names. They are Cubert, a slime folk ranger; Discreet, a tiefling sorcerer warlock; Aurora Boris, a dragonborn druid rogue; and No Name, pronounced Nunum, a jack-o'-lantern cleric wizard. So, a couple of weeks go, and we meet up for the first session, starting at 5th level. I had told the players beforehand that this, unlike my previous campaigns, was serious. I expected No Name to act up a bit. He was the reason my Horde of the Dragon Queen game turned into a dragon taming simulator. Don't ask. But that was in a campaign where I was fine with. So I expected a few shenanigans, which I got. However, that was nothing compared to what Cubert did. I'm now going to read off a list of what Cubert did throughout this whole entire thing. Having his background be acolyte, but whenever I mentioned him being a part of a religious group, he said that he wasn't.
Okay.
Claiming that 4th edition was better.
Is that one?
That was just one.
Okay, so let's tackle this one at a time.
Okay.
Because it sounds like there's a list.
There
like
is a
list.
decent amount of list.
Okay, so for one thing, the acolyte thing, that's definitely on the player.
Yes.
Like, I think that was something where it's like, this is like a serious thing and you know this. If you're an acolyte, read what the fuck acolyte means. And then even if you're not like, oh, I'm religious, you can still do something. Like, what was it we did with Ranto?
Where he just went on.
I became like a worshiper, but it wasn't like a religion. It was like a...
Like, you believe in him, but you're
almost
not
like
gonna...
a cult, kind of.
Kind of.
In a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, like, use your imagination. That's part of D&D.
Yeah.
Be an acolyte for, like, some type of, like make up a religion.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's not, like, fucking God, blah, 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 based religion. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, continue.
Claiming that 4th edition was better than 5e, then saying that I should have been DMing this in 4th edition. I planned this for months using the 5e system, and had never even DM'd for 4e before. And we were in the middle of the adventure.
Well, it sounds like he just needs to not play the game then.
Yes.
Like, if you think 4e is better, go play 4e.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just dumb.
Yes.
Like, that's just stupid. It's like, hey, I signed up for this, but I don't want to do it. It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's like buying Call of Duty and being like, yeah, Battlefield's better. Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck did you even do it then?
Yeah, really.
Like, it's stupid.
Trying to eat the books in the library. That's it.
I would need to know why.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I would need to know why. Were you just eating the books because? Like,
were you a dumb player that thought if you eat books, you get smarter?
You mean a dumb character?
Yes.
Yeah, dumb character, not a dumb player. Were you a dumb character that thought you got smarter by eating books, or were you a dumb player by thinking that eating books had anything to do with your character? That's the difference. That's what drives me nuts a lot.
Trying to eat the librarian and getting a nat 20.
Once again, that comes down to... My thing is like, I'm all for having fun, and I'm all for, like, goofy stuff sometimes. But, like, if you are disrupting shit by not following what your character is... I'm going to use an example from our game. Tim is an asshole, and he knows it, and he is an asshole. A lot of people will get, like, riled up over it, but that's the way his character is. Like, I get it. Now, there's some aspects where it's like, like you could follow a little closer to what your character is like trying to do. Like, what is your reasoning for doing A, B, and C whenever you believe in E, F, and D? Or, yeah, D, F, yeah, goddamn, D, E, F. I meant to say X, Y, Z. I don't know why I said E. I was like, But, like, yeah, why would you do A, B, and C if you believe in X, Y, and Z? Like, what is the purpose? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, like, my thing is like, there's people that are like, yeah, I'm lawful good, and I'm going to try and, like, fucking murder somebody. It's like, that's where as a DM, I'd be like, no, you're not. And it'd be like, well, it's my character. I'd be like, okay, but your character that you created is lawful good. That does not make sense at all. Yeah. Like, at this point, you're not being funny. You're not being anything. You are disrupting the entire thing because you want to try and be a dickhead. Like, that's not cool. That's where the DM needs to put their foot down and be like, you are not doing this. Mm-hmm. Like, at all. If you want to, fuck off. Like, doesn't matter. I understand you're good friends, but if they're really good friends with you, they should respect, what you're doing at the same time.
Yeah. Re-rolling rolls until he gets a nat 20. I just watched him every time and took the first one he got.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's dumb. This guy sounds like he's just a fucking child, and he really shouldn't be playing D&D at all.
Kidnapping Ouroboros and No Name, then throwing them off of a cliff. No Name had Featherfall, so it was fine.
Once again, I need background and purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, well, I guess he's an acolyte. So I'm assuming. Okay, since these are problems, I'm assuming, I'm going to go off that this DM is not just being bitchy about it, and I'm assuming he is a lawful good character. At which point, once again, DM needs to put their foot down and be like, that doesn't follow what you would do. So, no. Like, that's dumb. That's absolutely stupid.
Saying that Ouroboros didn't get a long rest because he was on guard duty, so he wasn't on full rest HP, so the attack from the lizard folk should have killed him. In quotations, I actually want to know, is this a thing that makes sense because everyone in the party agreed that he didn't get a long rest? So what I read is that even you don't have to sleep for your 8 hours. You have to be in pretty much in a motionless state.
Yeah.
So technically he would get a long rest.
No, yeah, that's still a long
But I
rest.
still understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
That one's up in the air.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, this is the DM's game, and...
Mm-hmm. No, this one's fucking funny.
Okay.
Assuming the teleportation circle was a portable hole, just because I said it was 10 feet in diameter, even after an NPC gave clear dialogue they had incited him, telling him that it was a teleportation circle, and I, as the DM, telling him that it was a teleportation circle. And in quotations, he has an 18 in intelligence.
I'm so confused by that. Say it again?
So this person thought that a teleportation circle that was clearly told that it was a teleportation circle by the DM and the NPC.
Yeah.
But he still thought it was a portable hole.
So, like, this thing...
What?
That's so dumb that How?
With an intelligence of 18. So,
clearly
the fucking book eating, he had an 18 intelligence and still wanted to eat books. So he can't be a dumb character.
Yeah.
Dumb player. Had to.
Yeah. Had to have been dumb player, smart character. Smart character played by dumb player.
Proceeded to try and pick up the quote-unquote portable hole.
So, teleportation circle, is that...
Teleportation circle is by putting markings
That's
on
what
the
I thought,
ground.
like a sigil.
Yes.
Like, almost like, okay, just bear with me, but like a transmutation circle almost from FMA. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I was like, you think this is like a throw rug? Like a circular throw rug that you throw down and you're just like... Open sesame. Open sesame. Just Patrick it.
After failing that, trying to pick up the floorboards.
Just continue at this point. I don't have anything else to say about this fucking idiot.
After failing that, proceeding to barf up the librarian, who was the NPC's daughter.
Okay.
Making a terrible Breaking Bad joke, then trying to tie that into his backstory.
Okay, continue.
Trying to deal drugs, though I did let him do this one. The DM allowed this one.
I would forcefully... So I did something similar at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my character started adjusting slightly because I was hanging out with a bad crowd. And my character ended up going from good to, like chaotic evil or something, like, over time. Like, I would just be like, okay, like, your entire backstory is now changed. Like, you know, like, or I'd be like, or not your backstory, your entire alignment is going to be changed. You're going to, like, basically lose most of your shit from, like, your god. You're going to have to figure out something else, like, because none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I would sit them down and be like, this is what's going to happen, whether you like it or not. Like, there's a certain point where I'd be like, okay, this is literally causing problems for everyone, and it's just obnoxious.
Trying to have significant character development without the DM knowing about it, without anything relating to it being in the backstory he sent me. What I mean by this is that he tried seeing a character named Walter was at his location. I wanted to know where this was going, so I said yes. Then tried doing a drug deal with Walter, and then claiming that to be character development because of something in his backstory. He told me that his backstory was Cubert, defeating a dark wizard, making him well known in the Underdark, then leaving the Underdark.
Yeah.
So just changing his backstory.
So he changed him to a drug dealer.
Yes.
Basically. Once again.
Who's Walter White's fucking lackey?
Jesse.
That's it. Pretty much Jesse.
I think Jesse.
Yeah.
I've never watched it, so I don't know.
I haven't either. Trying to turn into a car.
Dude, this guy would not be in my campaign. There's no fucking way.
Wait.
Okay.
Becoming Batman.
Dude, there would be a physical altercation if anybody was like that. Like, that is stupid. That's funny from the outside, but like...
But yeah, it's like...
Oh, thinking about it, I sit there and I'm like, dude, I'd be like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Like, I'd rather play D&D with a fucking wall than any of this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking way. I'll play it with my dog. Like, I bet you she would roleplay better than any of these fucking...
This fucking idiot. Yes.
Yeah.
Being a serious campaign to this dickhead doing all this.
Yeah. And, like, I also should make it known, it's not like if you make a joke once in a while, it's a big deal. Like, everybody has their laughs once in a while, or you make little comments. It's just the consistent bullshit that doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's distracting. It's like, dude, you are not funny. Like, you are not funny at all. It drives me insane.
This is another point, but it's just in quotations. This one isn't actually his fault. Killing my modified Okari jellies using non-magical attacks. I modified them so they were killed with non-magical attacks. They would split into two weaker Okari jellies. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Basically, if they were killed, I believe from what he's saying, if they were killed with non-magical means, they would split instead of, like, it multiplies them. They become weaker, but like cutting off a Hydra's head. You know how you cut off a Hydra's head, they grow two more in its place. I believe it's like the same thing, except it's not a fucking Hydra, and it's not as powerful.
Okay. Running away once there was 3 of them, leaving one of the other players to die.
That also depends, but that does not make sense, really.
Insulting an encounter I had been planning since I had started planning the campaign. The encounter happened the first time a character died, which was the Ouroboros. The dead player would wake up in a room of the player's description. An entity known as the Wise One would offer them a deal, allowing them to return to life if they would agree to take a level in Warlock next time they leveled up. Cubert's players said that this is a dumb thing that I made up on the spot because I didn't want Ouroboros to die. Because I didn't let him die earlier because he didn't heal from a long rest.
Dude, I'm just getting really pissed off. Just go through the rest of these because I literally want to message this dude and be like, just so you know, you should physically assault this dude in real life. Like, like, this is ridiculous.
That was the last one, but there's just a small scripture. Overall, while some of it was quite funny and some of it wasn't entirely his fault, it was still super annoying to deal with. So I had to share my story with you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm just heated now. That dude's an asshole.
Yes.
Dude.
Where's the point that you would be like, all right, no, you have to leave? Because I think the acolyte thing would have been like, all right, come on, man.
A lot of it would have been, I think my thing is it depends on like what order it happens in. I would have handled the situation differently. It just depends on how he would have reacted to it. If he would be fucking complaining and bitching over me saying something, I'd be like, okay, dude, then you're out. Like, it does not take that long. My thing is like, okay, if you're gonna go off this, sure, like some people chuckle at stuff and all that stuff, like whatever. There's things you say and you just laugh because it's like kind of funny in the moment. But like, the thing is it gets old. It gets dumb. Like, no one gives a fuck. Dude, I don't know. Especially as soon as he would have like insulted something, I would have been like, okay, like,
get out.
Yeah, I would have just been like, all right, this is like, I'm done. Like, we're not doing this. So
yeah, I looked back to see if it was all in one session. Because if it was all in one session, I probably would have killed him.
I mean, if it was all in one session, I just wouldn't have invited him back.
Yeah,
there's no fucking way. I would have been like, yeah, this is definitely not working out, dude. Like, you completely derailed, like, not even derailed, but, like, you completely just, like, how do I want to say this? Basically just ruined the entire experience.
Yes.
Like, just because you're a salty fucking bitch doesn't mean you gotta ruin it for everybody. Yeah. And, like, also, fuck some of those people for agreeing with them or, like, arguing with them. It's like, dude, it's a fucking game of D&D. I don't know.
All right. This one's by Melhub7. Title is, I'd love some outside perspective on this situation because I feel like I'm being unreasonable. This is from a player.
That you're being being unreasonable?
They are being unreasonable.
Wait, that the player is or that the person that they're talking about is?
Them. The person that's typing this out. They think that they're unreasonable about this situation.
Oh, okay.
We just had our final big fight of a 3-year campaign where 3 level 19 adventurers who had to face down this warrior. We had 2 NPCs on our side against this baddie. Before the fight, the DM gave us all DM inspiration for the session, and we were all excited. We started the combat with some mechanics. I think that's what it is. It's all spelled wrong. But at the beginning of the fight, the DM announced this guy has features where advantage and disadvantage can't apply to attacks, ability checks, or saving throws that he makes or made against him. This feature is called quote-unquote fair fight. Because our DM treats inspiration as advantage, we then weren't allowed to use it. He was doing 40 damage a hit with a plus 19 to 22 depending on the weapon. He would take people's weapons when engaging in melee as a feature he had. This, with his resistance and immunities, we didn't have a lot of options to take him down. But we eventually whittled him down his first health bar. then a second health bar, which was much smaller. He had 2 new features: damage threshold of 30 and regeneration. This damage threshold made it so that even our attacks did hit, they didn't count for anything. It got really...
Can they not spell?
No. I'm just gonna... It got really despairing at the point. I just wasn't really having fun anymore. The only way I could have beat his damage threshold was with max damage rolls on my hit or using sharpshooter, but with his AC it was a wash. There were no environmental factors or minions or anything, so it was pretty much a bare encounter with a 30 CR fighter who nullified a bunch of our abilities, features, damage, and spells, and a core part of 5E advantage in combat. I think my frustration and pain around this was exasperated by a few things. The DM was being really smug about it and kept saying that it was a quote-unquote fair fight, and that it would be an inside joke for us. Maybe it was a quote-unquote fair fight, but it wasn't fun for me and for the other players as far as I could tell. At one point in the night, I made a comment about needing some luck to get hits and damage in, and he commented, "I heard it's lucky to make the DM a cup of coffee." I was hosting at my place and offered to grab and make people drinks through the night, as well as I prepared a spread of snacks. It just rubbed me the wrong way as a shitty way to ask another adult to get a drink as their guest of their home. I feel like I'm looking for sympathy or agreement, but I also just want to feel okay about being frustrated with how the session went. And one thing, I have a challenge fight, but it was more frustrating than anything. And then there was a PS about, feel like I'm being irrational and dramatic about being upset about how the session went down. I've been having a few hard weeks. I lost my job. That's been really stressful, and I haven't been having any luck finding a new one. We delayed the session a week so we could play in person. And I was just really looking forward to having fun, and I guess it really hurt when it didn't.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion?
I don't care for that. Whenever a DM makes it so it's like especially being smug about it and being an asshole, like, it's like, dude, you are here to have fun. It's not your game. Like, you are putting on a game for the players. Like, I mean, it is your game, but you know what I mean. Your goal is to entertain your players. It's not to fucking stroke your ego.
Yeah.
So, like, you created, like, a really cool thing, but then you made it impossible to fight. It's like, if I was him, I would have been like, yo, just kill my character. I'm like, I want to go do some other shit. Like, fuck this. Like, I don't give a shit anymore. I just wouldn't give a fuck after a while. Like, so I think, I mean, I can't speak on, like, the coffee thing because maybe he just said it that way and was being joking about it, but what didn't mean to be an asshole. So, like, whatever, you know, I understand where it could rob you the wrong way. It was kind of disrespectful, but also I don't know your relationship.
Yeah.
So, like, if I said that to you, like, you'd be like, fuck you. Like, that's all. You wouldn't, like, you know. But, like, other than that, I don't know. I didn't really like the way that was handled. I think at that point, the DM, and like, he's like, oh, it's going to be an inside joke between us all.
No.
That's not a joke.
Yeah.
That's, like, stupid humor. Like, if you think that's a joke, go watch some comedy. Like, your jokes are dumb. It's not funny.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about it. And it is like, and if they would be like, oh, it's funny to me, I'd be like, okay, well, guess what? That means nothing. Like, nothing. Like, oh, you're going to be entertaining, but then you're going to have several people that just do not want to talk to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hope your, like, decisions and loneliness was worth your really shitty humor. That
I hope you're happy.
Yeah, it's like, I hope you were happy with no one wanting you to DM anymore and you literally just getting to chuckle yourself. And you having an inside joke that nobody's going to talk about except you. That's what's wild. I don't get it. Yeah. It just makes zero sense to me.
What's our time at? I can do one more shorter one.
The screen is moving too fast. Fuck it, just do one. I can't see what the timing is.
It's at the bottom.
It does at the bottom.
Yeah.
46 minutes.
You want to do one more?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. This is from r/D&D stories by the Nerdy Bisexual.
Am I going to punch air?
No.
Okay.
This one's like not terrible.
Okay. I just these past couple.
Well, those were horror stories.
Yeah, I'm
this
just
is
getting
just
pissed.
A D&D story.
Okay.
It's called Me, a Warlock, helped revive my pal, a cleric, and got him in trouble with his god.
Okay.
So, in this campaign, I was playing a drow elf warlock named Osiris, and my friend was playing a human cleric named Duncan. And being a demon worshiper and a holy man on top of being friends IRL, we played the boys off as frenemies and secret besties, and my DM loved playing with the dynamic we had.
I'm already enjoying this.
I am too. Anyways, in Ascension, Duncan, who was our only healer, was killed. Ironic. And my guy Osiris was beside himself. So me and the other players talked about what to do. We looked into bringing him back to life, and I had a plan. So Duncan's player was made to sit outside for a bit and brainstorm other character ideas in case we failed. I called forth my demon patron and begged him to revive Duncan, which he agreed in exchange for 3 innocent souls. My DM thought he had stumped me, but I was playing him as a chaotic neutral with a very the ends justify the means kind of attitude, and simply ask a townsfolk for directions to the closest orphanage. The rest of the party kind of looked in shock as I offered up 3 innocent souls of children to my demon patron that take to his realm. As so, Duncan was revived, and we called his player back in. He asked what went down, and so I told him the story. Duncan then had a psychotic break. Not only he was revived by a demon, but also 3 innocent souls were lost for his life, and on top of that, his god renounced him and was forced to find a new god, plus our DM forced him to start multiclassing as a warlock under the same pact I was under. Oh, and all the rest of the players had their alignments changed for letting me go through the plan. We went to play some dark places that session.
I love that story.
That is I know.
I love it. That's so good because everybody played to it. This is what I'm talking about. This is what that first guy was fucking up. This is what I'm talking about. This is awesome. I love it. The fact that the dude wasn't like, oh, thanks for bringing me back. He had a psychotic break. His character had a psychotic break over the fact that 3 innocent souls and children souls were fucking given, and that's so good. I'm like sitting here and I'm like, I want to play D&D now. I'm like, this is I'm so excited. I love it. I love it when things get wild and people still stay true to their character and like do this stuff. Like, my thing is, if you're like struck by something, like, I don't know, you can always explain it where it's like, oh, well, in times of desperation, it makes good people do terrible things.
Yeah.
So the fact that the rest of them ended up getting their alignment changed, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. I think it's really helpful in that way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For the story itself to develop. Because like I said, I mean, like, you think about it, you could be a good person in real life. If something happens, you could go off the fucking rails. Like in the flick of a switch. It's the human mind. I mean, like, you know. Mm-hmm. So, that being said, why not the same thing in a D&D campaign? Something happens, like your best friend dying, and you choose to do something because you're distraught about it, and, you know, other players would be upset and stuff like that. They're, you know, you could also be like, hey, I'm not going to tell them. I'm just going to go find 3 children and just, you know. That's pretty good though. Yeah. Like that's my thing is that imagination and that thought process was good. Like, as soon as I heard you say that he was checking or he was asking people for the nearest orphanage, I was like, no fucking shot. I was like, that is awesome. That is such a good thought process for an evil character.
Yeah.
I really recommend people playing evil characters at least one time. Dude, it changes your whole outlook. It's so much fun to be just a dickhead just once in a while. Not like an arrogant dickhead either. Just like evil. Like when you just go out and you're like, fuck it. It's sometimes in D&D it's the best feeling. It was one of the campaigns I've had the most fun with. Or well, I guess it was a one shot, but pretty cool. So I like that story a lot.
Yeah.
I like it.
I technically have one more, but I know we don't have time for it, and I think I don't want to get you mad again. But I'll just read you the title. DM runs plotless campaign, ruins it more with DM PCs and random invites. So this is all set up on like
Random invites?
Discord and D20.
Oh, okay. So it's just an organizational nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. Fucking organize your shit. Figure it out. At least a template for it. Don't write it out word for word, because they will derail your campaign in a heartbeat. But
I will bring up, there is one part of the story where this part of the campaign, they're completely new one after 3 of them already broke through because the DM didn't have a plot.
yeah.
This quote-unquote plot was a furry steampunk-based world.
Okay, so on that note, thank you guys for listening.
Hold on. Wait.
I'm
Wait a
done.
minute.
I'm done right there. You got me punching air, dude. I'm
know.
fucking done.
I know. I know. I'm sorry. But just remember, the warlock and cleric are best buds, killing 3 children.
Okay,
In an orphanage.
hang on. Shut your mic off in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was censored.
Wait. Okay.
Fucking dude, I do not want to deal with that at all.
Okay.
I don't even want to hear the story.
Before we go, if you want your 5-star review to be read, fucking put a 5-star review on our Apple Podcast.
Yeah, we'll check it out. We'll read it. I'm a happy boy right now. I'm a happy boy.
You got anything else before we wrap this up?
No. Just honestly, just thank you to everybody who listens. We're getting ready. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this, even though we haven't talked about it. We're getting ready to make some changes coming up. So,
Did you talk to me about this?
Yeah, this is stuff.
Okay.
The stuff we've been discussing for a while.
All right, just want to make sure.
We're waiting on answers from everybody.
Oh,
and
okay,
stuff.
yeah.
So we're gonna do a little bit of changing around here and stuff, but I promise it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be great for the podcast, great for everyone involved. The quality is going to be better. Everything's gonna be great, just in general. Editing is also going to be way easier too. So. But yeah, we are super excited about everything that's coming up. We how do I want to say this? We will just keep an eye out. We're gonna keep some announcements in our back pocket, and then when we're ready, we'll be dropping it on our social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. So also we might have a couple sponsors in the works. We're going to talk about that later.
All right.
That was my doing. You have no idea about that.
Okay. All right. I'll shut the fuck up.
All right.
Noah. Fucking send it.
Montage music.
Thank you all for listening to C&C Talks. If you like that episode and want to hear more, follow and subscribe to keep up to date. We have an Instagram and Facebook at Creatures and Cantrips, and Twitter at Creature Cantrip. If you want your message to be read on the next episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Like, share, comment. It'll help us immensely. I hope you all have a wonderful day.